What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast, weekly real estate tip. And today I'm here to talk to you about building your real estate business in the way that you want. Look, this is your business. This is your life. And it is really important to be intentional and to be strategic with how you set up your business and how you build your business, paying attention to your strengths, your weaknesses, what you enjoy doing, what you don't enjoy doing. Look, I see so many inside this industry that unintentionally, accidentally end up building themselves into like a damn prison. Instead of building that perfect life, that perfect business, building that dream empire, it's like they accidentally build a jail cell and they end up building something that they're unhappy with, that they have no life with, that they're miserable with, doing business in a way that they don't enjoy, having to work with clients they don't enjoy. So this is really important to really be methodical and really break this stuff down. So in today's podcast, I want to walk you through how to do this, how I've done this, because I made the same mistake. Look, when I first got into this industry, I was 23 years old. I was a college dropout. I never made more than $10 an hour before I got into real estate. And I was just sick and tired of being broke, just living paycheck to paycheck, being broke as a joke. I was so fed up with it. So when I jumped into real estate, I discovered that real estate was going to be the vehicle for me to change my situation around. And my only focus was money. How do I go out there and stack as much money as I possibly can and make money? Well, here's how life goes, is what we focus on is where we end up. So then all of a sudden at the end of my third year, going into my fourth year, I'm making great money. I'm making more money than I'd ever really thought I would be making when I first entered the real estate business. But I was more miserable than I was when I was broke. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with making money. Like, I like money. I think that we all should go out there and make money. It's a necessary resource to go out there and live life. And, like, it takes money to go out there and experience life, right? So nothing wrong with making money. But I got to the point where I'm working 4 a.m. to midnight, sleeping very little. I just had my first child, going days and days and days without seeing my wife, seeing my kid, having so much stress and pressure on me at business. I'm in my 20s and I literally thought I was going to freaking have a heart attack. Like, I don't know if this is anxiety pains, panic attack pains, but I was having like severe chest pains daily. And I'm like, man, shit, something needs to change. And the mistake that I realized that I made at that point is I didn't look at real estate as the vehicle that's going to allow me to go out there and create the life that it is that I want. So I didn't start assessing and looking at, okay, well, what type of life is it that I want? And then reverse engineer the type of real estate business I need to build that allows me to go out there and create the life that I want. Because I don't know about you, but I don't live to work. I work so I can go out there and live. But I've also built my work in such a way where I do enjoy my work. I love it. I don't look at work as work. Like, I don't have a case of the Mondays ever. I don't want to say that there's shit that I don't have to do sometimes on certain days or certain aspects of the days that isn't a challenge. But just like when I'm chillaxing, like, I don't like fucking taking out the trash, but it's a necessary thing that I got to go out there and do, right? But overall, like, I love my work. I love my life, right? So, but there was a point in time where I didn't. So what I'm saying here is to be intentional with this. I want to walk you through how to reverse engineer this and break this down. So then that way you can kind of put the pieces together to create that real estate business and overall life, which is the goal here that you truly want and truly deserve. Now, real quick, before we jump into this, make sure that you are checking out gsdmode.com, www.gsdmode.com for more additional free resources, more additional free training. I highly encourage you to take 2 actions on there. Number 1, I highly encourage you to register and schedule for the 60-minute free Zoom coaching call with me personally. That's going to give you and I an opportunity to jump on Zoom together for a full hour for 100% free, no strings attached coaching session where we can break down your business, where your business is currently at, where your 12-month goals are, what your long-term dreams and goals and visions are, what your biggest obstacles are, what your current situation is, and then I can help you map out the best strategy to get you from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. So you can schedule that at gsdmode.com. I also encourage you to jump on my 6 steps to 3xing or more your real estate business within the next 12 months, free 3-hour in-depth masterclass taking place every single day right now. This training is going to give you all the knowledge, tools, information that you need to grow and scale your real estate business and make sure you're having your best years right now during this challenging market. The market's changed dramatically. So if you're not making the necessary changes with this given market, you're going to be delivered some pain. I want to make sure that you're not having that pain, that you're going out there and kicking ass right now in this market. So that webinar, that free masterclass will help you dial that in. Both 100% free, no strings attached, gsdmode.com. Okay, so let's dive in on how to reverse engineer this. Now, the first thing I want to say here is just understand, man, this is your business. This is your life. The reason why it's important for me to say that and understand that, even though you're probably like, well, no, duh, Josh, that's the obvious, right? Is look, it's such a noisy world out there. We're not even in the information age anymore. It's like we're in the attention economy and people just telling us what we should do, what we should have, how we should live life. It's like I go on, I don't know, we all kind of live in these echo chambers in our social media, but it's like every time I hate social media anymore because I log on there. It's like, oh, well, this is what it means to be a man. This is what it means. I'm like, dude, I don't need you to tell me how to live my freaking life, right? Like I can make up, I can critical think, can make up my, own mind. But if we're not careful, it's easy to adopt goals from society and adopt goals that are not our own. So it's really important to do some introspection here, to really reflect and deep dive into thinking about what is it that I truly want. And if you break this down and think about this, because for many years, man, I was adopting other people's goals. It took me a little bit of time to really figure this stuff out. But I started thinking about this, especially as I started having kids. I'm like, okay, as kids, it's like, okay, like you start growing up, you're early, and then very quickly early on in your I don't know, toddler years, you learn that, okay, mom and dad are happy, life is good. So what do I got to do to please mom and dad? Then you start school, kindergarten, first grade, preschool, whatever. Okay, mom and dad are happy, life is good. Please my teachers, get good grades, life is good. Then you enter sports. It's like, okay, please mom and dad, life is good. Please my teachers, life is good. Please my coaches, life is good. So then we're going through 18 years of our life of domestication, pleasing everybody else, doing what everybody else wants of us, expects of us, and to appease them. And then it's like, okay, you're 18 years old. Good luck. Go figure it out. Nobody gives us the tools on how to go out there and identify what we want. So most people go after the careers, marry people, whatever, still thinking about, well, what will my parents think? What will society think? How will I be judged? Yeah, right. Instead of really doing that deep dive into what is it that you want for your own life. So what I recommend that you do here, and again, this is going to bring us back to your real estate business, because as I said at the beginning of this podcast, our real estate businesses really exist for us to go out there and create that dream life that we want. Like, I don't know about you. Now I'm willing to go out there and put in 80-hour work weeks for a period of time. So eventually that thing gives back to me where I don't have to work really at all. It's like, okay, I worked 80-hour work weeks for several years inside my real estate business, to the point now where I work like 2 hours a week in my real estate business. I built a machine. I've got amazing people, amazing team, amazing staff, all running the show. So I built that business. Yeah, I had to put the blood, sweat, and tears, but I built it intentionally once I got this clarity. So then now it gives back to me where I only got to show up a couple hours a week, and I get to go out there and do the things that I enjoy, creating podcast content like this, and, doing free coaching sessions to help people out in the industry that's changed every aspect of my life, and be able to have a big impact on others in the industry that I love, right? Hanging out with my family, so like, okay, like I'll go out there and put the blood, sweat, and tears, but eventually it must reciprocate. Right? So the first thing that I want you to be thinking about and get clarity on is, okay, what do you want long-term for your life? Like, really start thinking about this 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What would your perfect day look like? This is something I always do at least once a year, is I chart out and I map out. Okay, if let's just say I built the perfect business, I had the perfect scenario. Let's just say you won the damn lottery. Right. And you didn't have to work in, like, what would your perfect day look like? What time would you get up? What's the first thing that you would do? What's the second thing that you would do? Who would you do it with? Mapping that stuff out. Now, okay, we're probably not going to win the lottery. So then let's just say, okay, blink of an eye, 5 years, 10 years from now, you also had to incorporate work with that. Okay, well then, how long would you be working? Right? Like, what would you do during those hours that you have to work? So you get that clarity on what that perfect day would look like. So how much, then we start reverse engineering this of, okay, how much money would I need to be making to go out there and do that? So when I told you earlier about, okay, in my third year, going to my fourth year, how I was more miserable than I was even when I was broke, this is where I went to. I was like, okay, if I'm going to pour all this blood, sweat, tears, energy, effort into the real estate business, eventually this thing needs to reciprocate and give back to me. It's like a relationship. Okay, if you're giving it all to a relationship, but your spouse or this other human being in this relationship is treating you like an abusive piece of shit, like, eventually That's a toxic relationship. Like, it's not giving back. Like, that's an unhealthy thing. Most people jump into business and just let the business continue to kick the shit out of them, not because that's the life of business, right? It's because they're not intentional, they're not methodical with this. So I want you to understand and think about, okay, what is it that you eventually want? If you build that perfect business, and maybe it takes you 5 years or 10 years, whatever the timeline is, time's going to pass anyway, whatever that time is, okay, how must that business reciprocate? What must it give back to you for you to go out there and live the life that you want to live? So for me, and I'm just sharing this with you in case it's helpful, not saying that you got to adopt my goals, right? But just in case it's helpful, I came up with, hey, how I know that this would be a win for me is if I'm able to create a business that allows me to make the money that I want and need to make to be able to create the opportunities I want to create and take care of my family and dealing in realities, and for me, again, I don't come from money. So, for me, it's like, hey man, if I'm making 30, 40 grand a month now, I have a lot, I make more than that. But at that time, that's what I came up with. Right. So I was like, hey man, if, I had a business that was paying me 30, 40 grand a month, but then allowed me full autonomy of schedule and full autonomy of location, that to me would be a massive win. So what I mean by that, full autonomy of schedule, is like, I like to work. And there's things that, like, I'm not one that probably will ever retire. Like, I enjoy working, but I want to do the work when I want to do the work. I don't want to be locked in, I got to do this at this time. Like, hey, if I want to do it at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. or 5 o'clock in the evening, whatever, like, I want to pick and choose the time where I'm going to do the work. Then from there, I want an autonomy of location. So whether I want to do the work in Hawaii, Michigan, Arizona, Dubai, wherever, like, I want full autonomy of those things. So then from there, once I got clarity on that then allowed me to then reverse engineer the architectural plans on what type of a business I needed to build. That allowed me to identify the eventual model. So I knew for me to do that, okay, I'm going to need some element of a team, for me to go out there and have full autonomy of schedule and make that income. Like, it's either going to take me growing a team or growing a brokerage. Back then, we didn't have the EXPs of the world, or the Reels, or the, other platforms like this, now there's a third option, right? So like, okay, for me to create what I want to create, we either growing a team, either growing a brokerage, or building a big downline, right? So I have those, residual income components. So at that point in time, I decided to grow and start and really expand my team. I already had a team, but my team was really agents doing overflow. I knew that, okay, I had to start eventually building up a plan to exit myself out of production over time. And I knew it was going to take some time. It took me about 8 years to be able to exit from production. And then about 10 years to be able to exit out of production and operations altogether, so that gave me clarity on the overall model and knew what I wanted to build. Cause like, look, when you know where you want to, like, where you got to be, then you know where you're at. Well, then now we can reverse engineer those architectural plans to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. The other thing about this is it creates a lot more excitement in our day to day. I always look at this of like, okay, yeah, it's like laying bricks. Like, okay, every activity that you got to do inside your real estate business, think of it like you're laying concrete, stacking this brick, laying concrete, stacking this brick, laying concrete, stacking this brick. Well, it can be very mundane, tedious, boring, can burn out from that. But if you're laying those bricks with intention, you got the architectural plans, and you're seeing progress brick by brick by brick, and you know the reason as to why you're laying each brick, and then brick by brick, you're seeing progress. Those same mundane, boring, tedious things, right, now become done with passion. They become done with vigor, right? It like lights that fire in the belly because now you have purpose behind the activities that you're doing. Doesn't mean it's still not hard work. Doesn't mean it's still not exhausting. Doesn't mean it's still not going to be a pain in the ass, but it gives us the fuel that we need to push through and to see that progress, right? So it becomes really, really important. This is going to help give you that purpose and give you that why. Okay, so then the next thing. So once you got clarity on what you want long-term, and then where you're at right now, what the model that you need to go out there and adopt to build, now you can reverse architect those, again, game plans to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. Okay, the next step with this is to get extreme clarity on what your strengths are, knowing what your strengths and weaknesses. And this is going to apply more towards strategy because you got the overall model. Like for me, I knew I was going to have to build a real estate team to exit out of production. where then I could put in the team, put in the leadership team, put in, have all the agents, and then eventually the staff and the leadership team. So I could go disappear for 3 months and have a business that's operating without my day-to-day involvement. That's what I knew I needed to build, right? So that gave me, again, the architectural plans, the model. But then it was like, okay, now I need to apply strategy. How am I going to go out there and get leads? How am I going to go out there and get customers? How am I going to go out there and get clients, right? What's my leadership style? All of those things came down to my strengths. So I got extreme clarity on what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? So when we start looking at this, right? So when I talk about strengths, weaknesses, what excites you, what drains you. So here's an example of this. Okay, I'm very introverted. So I made a decision very early on to not build my business through any element of networking. Being an introvert doesn't mean I'm shy. It means that when I'm around a lot of people for a long period of time, it drains the hell out of my batteries. It's so exhaustive. I hate it, right? It just, I love people and I love people one-on-one, but being around people for too long of a time, if any of you are introverts, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like introverts need solitude to recharge. Extroverts need to be around people to recharge, right? So then from there, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to build my business through networking, right? So then I started looking at things like open houses. Okay, like I've got solitude times. I'm setting up the open house. Then I got a 4-hour event and I'm only, having one couple at a time that I'm meeting with. It's not groups, it's one-on-one, but then I'm only at this event for 4 hours. And when the event's done, okay, I got to shut down. I got another hour or two of solitude to recharge my batteries. Like, okay, aligned with my strengths. The other thing I started looking at was my previous career. I was in the health club business. And I was like, okay, I was doing health club tours for like 9 years of my life, right? Okay, member walks in the gym, signs in a guest registry, based on that, you're looking at that, right? Then you go do a health club tour. When you're doing the health club tour, you're using that time to, build rapport with them, identify what their goals are, what their needs are. You're articulating that you're the best facility to help them accomplish those goals. And if you do that right at the end of that tour, then boom, you sell them a membership. After the membership, upsell a personal training package, and boom, you've won. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, open houses, even though I'm new to real estate, I'm like, open houses, that's exactly like a gym tour. The only difference is instead of selling a gym membership, I'm selling myself. Okay, I can see myself doing that. Even though I was new to real estate, I'm like, I could see myself doing that. I've done that thousands and thousands of freaking times. I was damn good at it. So I came in with confidence by tapping into, based on a strength with the strategy. Right. Then from there, okay, looking at my strengths, okay, like I hate cold calling. Doesn't mean I'm not good at it. Doesn't mean that it can't be successful. I just freaking hate it. And again, I'm not saying it doesn't work. It works. And some people freaking love it. For me, I can't think of anything more painful than sitting here for 6 hours every single day, all day long, pounding the phones. I don't want to do that. And I'd rather probably just get out of the business and go build something else than do that. Okay. So then I was like, okay, that's not a strength of mine. It's not how I want to do my business. It's not what excites me. I love inbound style business. I like people coming to me, right, that want to do business with me, where then I can then supply my time on offering as much value to them. So then, okay, I started building out all my sources and all my strategies through inbound strategies. One of those through open houses, right? People coming to me. Then from there, okay, people in this industry are like, oh, we got to call expireds. I'm like, well, why? Now, I had success in marketing and sales in another industry, and I realized, okay, we could get gym members to come to us. Why can't I get expireds to come to me? So then I started working on letter campaigns, and applying to my strengths with copywriting and whatever. Okay. So then I started crushing it with getting an abundance of listings, sellers coming to me through letter campaigns, right? Then whether it be Facebook leads and online leads and YouTube and all these different sources, right? So that's me then coming up with strategies that play to my strengths, that allow me to do business in ways that I enjoy, that I'm good at, in a way that I don't enjoy. Now, don't get me wrong. If I hit a stretch of my business where I got to do shit I don't want to enjoy for a period of time, okay, I'm going to suck it up and do that. I'm not saying that all this is going to be sunshine and rainbows, but what I am saying is you can be methodical with this stuff and intentional with this stuff and do this stuff in a much more enjoyable way if you just plan this out correctly inside your overall business. And the really important thing, when you do things that excite you. So here's an example. One of my agents, this was several years ago, she was new to my team and, started off doing a bunch of inbound online leads, but even inbound online leads, like you got to pound the phones and, she was just miserable and hated it. She's like, I just can't stand doing it this way. I don't, I'm in real estate, but I don't like, being sales, being the salesperson. And so then I was like, okay, well, what does excite you? And she's like, well, I really like social media, really like Instagram, really like YouTube. I'm like, okay, let's focus on that. Then we came up with a strategy for her on those, and she crushes it with those, right? Just started murdering it with those. But here's the difference, right? When she was doing the other things, like I couldn't really even get her to show up for training. She hated it, but then once she identified that, hey, I really like this YouTube thing. I really like Instagram and building my business in an organic way where people are coming to me. Then from there, like she's binging YouTube training courses all weekend long when her friends are maybe out partying. Like, okay, when you do things that are aligned with your strengths and that excite you, you will then find not only is it easier to do those a hell of a lot more consistently, but you're going to give so much more time and energy into mastering those things, versus like if you hate this thing and it's like pulling freaking, it's like nails on a chalkboard for you to do this damn thing, okay, well, it's probably going to be that much harder for you to go out there and really master that thing and do that thing consistently. One of the blessings about the real estate industry is there's thousands of ways to go out there and create success. It's not like we are selling solar panels where you got one play, which is door-to-door sales. There's 1,000+ ways to skin a cat, right? Like you got to identify your way and align that with your strengths. And it's one of the reasons why I do the free coaching calls, because I can tell people, man, it's like, this is very nuanced. We got to break down what their strengths are, weaknesses are, what your current, what your biggest obstacles are, what your current situation is, what your current schedule is, what is that you want. It's not just like, oh, here's the best strategy for everybody. There's no such thing. It's really breaking down and understanding, again, putting into alignment of what is it that we want? What is it that we want in the immediate? What is it that we want long-term? What are strengths? What are weaknesses? What are the obstacles that we're facing? What are limitations? Let's do own realities. We got to put this stuff together. It's very nuanced. But you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your business to really put the thought into this. And again, be methodical and intentional with this, because this doesn't need to be this grind out of an industry. I know I get criticized a lot for my work ethic. And I know, as I talked earlier, like I don't work much in my real estate business, but I got 6 businesses. So, I'm one of these guys that build a business, put a team around it, where they're, running without me. And then I go build the next thing. I just love building business. And I've loved working. I love business. But one of the reasons is I'm very intentional with this stuff. So I get to do shit that I enjoy. And just like all things, there's times where I don't, I got to do things that I don't enjoy. But just like, hey, man, if I enjoy chilling at home, like I said earlier, like I don't enjoy taking out the trash. I don't enjoy cleaning my toilets, but that's just maybe I don't clean my toilets, but I got to take out the trash, right? I've got a cleaning lady cleans the toilet. But yeah, anyway, you get what I'm saying there, so it can make it a hell of a lot more enjoyable. So I had built myself into a prison where I got to the point where I just dreaded walking into my own office, where I was ready to like burn everything down, just quit, walk away, even though I was making over $700,000 a year at that point. I was more miserable than when I was making $10 an hour, but then I decided I didn't want to really walk away from the money. So I was like, okay, I got to figure this shit out. And that's where I started really putting the time, energy, and attention to what I walked you through today. And it was a game and life changer for me. So again, remember, this is your business. This is your life. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, this is the only way. This is the way that you have to do it. No, it's like you can do it your way. Like I got a coaching client of mine that came to me years ago that was like, hey man, I want to build a real estate business in a way that allows me and my family to travel 50% of the year. We're going to take our kids out of school, put them into homeschool, travel 50% of the year, where like the hotel is our office / playtime. So it wasn't like, okay, we're going to, be 50% retired. It was like, no, we're going to like work from the hotel room and then go out there and play. So we're working and playing, but ended up taking, it took about a year to build it, but then they ended up taking 22 vacations, that next year. And then they got to the point where now they live in the Netherlands. Even though they run and operate a real estate business and a real estate team in Florida, now they live in the Netherlands, a totally different continent. They fell in love with the Netherlands. And we're like, hey, I want to live in a different continent. How many people would be like, okay, yeah, you can go live in the Netherlands and run a highly successful, high producing real estate team in Florida while you live in a freaking totally different continent? A lot of people would probably tell you, oh, you can't do that. That doesn't exist. Yeah, right. No, that's what they wanted. They got clarity on that. Okay, let's reverse engineer the game plan and the roadmap to allow you and your family to go out there and do that, right? It's all possible. Don't let anybody ever tell you it's not, but you got to be intentional with this stuff. So anyway, hope that this was helpful. Again, make sure to check out gsdmode.com for more additional free resources and training. Truly appreciate you guys. Truly appreciate your support. Keep kicking ass, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.